The quiet god-tier teacher. I only wanted a peaceful life, so why did they make me teach the most troublesome class in the country? In a world hidden behind modern civilization, there exists a secret education system. Thousands of years ago, powerful beings known as Awakened appeared, humans capable of controlling elements, space, time, spirits, dragons, and even concepts themselves. To prevent chaos, several hidden special schools were created, invisible to ordinary people. Among them is the legendary Astra Academy, a school reserved only for prodigies. Every graduate becomes one of the strongest people in the world. Far away from the politics and fame, a young man named Kael Ashford, 24, lives peacefully in a small countryside village. He grows vegetables, fishes in rivers, repairs neighbors' houses, helps elderly villagers. Nobody knows. He is one of the strongest beings alive. A man capable of defeating dragons with a wooden stick, stopping natural disasters with a wave, teaching monsters manners. He dislikes fighting. He dislikes attention. His dream is simple: drink tea while watching the sunset. Unfortunately, the academy principal personally visits him. Please become our teacher. No, we'll leave if you teach for 1 year. Fine. Kael becomes the homeroom teacher of Class 7Z, the worst class. The class every teacher resigned from. The class full of geniuses nobody can control. 12 students, 12 broken stories, 12 future legends, and one teacher who accidentally changes all of their lives. Volume 1, The Worst Class Gets the Strongest Teacher. Chapter 1, The Teacher Who Wanted Peace. The first rays of dawn stretched across the quiet countryside, painting the rolling hills with warm shades of gold. Dew clung to blades of grass, and the morning breeze carried the scent of wildflowers and freshly turned soil. At the edge of a small village, surrounded by vegetable fields, fruit trees, and a crystal-clear stream, stood a simple wooden cottage. It was modest. A stone path led to a porch decorated with potted flowers of every color. Chickens wandered freely around the yard while a large black dog lazily slept beneath a tree. Nearby, a pair of deer calmly grazed beside the vegetable garden, completely unafraid of humans. The villagers often joked that the animals considered the place their own sanctuary. The owner of the cottage knelt quietly in the garden. A young man in his early 20s, with neat black hair and gentle amber eyes, carefully watered rows of tomatoes. He wore ordinary farming clothes with rolled-up sleeves and straw sandals that had seen years of use. There was nothing extraordinary about his appearance. Anyone meeting him for the first time would assume he was just another farmer. His name was Kael Ashford. He smiled faintly as he checked a ripening pumpkin. "Looks like you'll be ready tomorrow." The pumpkin, strangely enough, wobbled as if responding. Kael chuckled. "Don't be impatient." The black dog lifted its head and barked once. "I know, Rex. Breakfast first." As if understanding every word, the dog happily wagged its tail. The village slowly came to life. Children ran towards school, merchants opened their shops, and farmers prepared their tools. "Morning, Kael." An elderly woman waved while carrying a basket of vegetables. "Good morning, Mrs. Eleanor. Could you look at my roof later?" The rain made another hole. Of course. Before she could thank him, another villager hurried over. "Kael, my well stopped working. I'll come after lunch." Then another. "The fence collapsed again. I'll fix it." Another. "My grandson caught a fever. I'll bring medicine." Everyone sought Kael's help, not because he was famous, not because he was wealthy, but because he never refused anyone. By noon, Kael had already repaired 3 roofs, fixed 2 broken wells, treated a sick child with herbal medicine, rebuilt a fence, and helped harvest potatoes for an elderly couple. He accepted nothing in return except smiles. When someone insisted on paying, he simply accepted homemade bread or fresh fruit. "This is enough." The villagers had long since given up trying to convince him otherwise. After lunch, Kael carried a basket of vegetables toward the forest. Deep inside the woods stood a small shrine forgotten by time. A massive white wolf lay sleeping before it. Its body was larger than a carriage. Silver fur shimmered beneath the sunlight. Golden eyes slowly opened. The wolf lowered its enormous head. "Good afternoon." Kael smiled. "I brought your favorite." He placed fresh meat beside the wolf. The creature happily ate before rubbing its gigantic head against him like an oversized puppy. Anyone from the hidden world would have fainted at the sight. The creature was known as the Moonfang King. A legendary beast capable of destroying entire armies. Yet before Kael, it behaved like a spoiled pet. On the mountain beyond the shrine, a crimson dragon landed with enough force to shake the earth. Its wings covered the sky. Villagers below noticed nothing. A magical barrier concealed everything. The dragon lowered its head respectfully. "You've come again." Kael sighed. "I told you not to fly over the village. I wished to greet you. You frightened the birds. My apologies." The Dragon King sounded like a child being scolded. Kael reached into his basket. "I made apple pies." The dragon's eyes sparkled. "For me. For everyone." The Moonfang King barked happily. Several spirits appeared from the surrounding forest. Tiny fairies fluttered around Kael's shoulders. Even ancient tree guardians slowly emerged. Within minutes, the clearing resembled a picnic rather than a gathering of mythical beings. Kael smiled peacefully. "This is nice." Unknown to everyone, this ordinary afternoon would become the last peaceful one for quite some time. Far above the clouds, a floating island drifted through the sky, hidden from the human world by layers of ancient magic. Countless towers rose toward the heavens. Students in elegant uniforms practiced magic, swordsmanship, and martial arts across enormous training grounds. This was Astra Academy, one of the greatest hidden special schools in existence. Inside the highest tower, an elderly man with silver hair stared at a mountain of documents piled across his desk. Principal Alaric Evercrest rubbed his temples. Another resignation letter. Then another. Then another. He let out a long sigh. "This makes 23. A teacher standing nearby looked exhausted. "They all resigned from Class 7Z, Headmaster." "I noticed. They destroyed another classroom." "I know. They accidentally summoned 3 elder beasts." "I know. They challenged the disciplinary committee." "I know." Silence filled the room. Finally, the teacher spoke carefully. "There is only one person left." The principal slowly closed his eyes. "Yes. He'll refuse. Probably. But he's the only one capable of teaching them." The principal stood. "I suppose it's time." Late that afternoon, Kael finished sweeping the porch before preparing tea. The breeze felt pleasant. Birds sang softly. Rex slept peacefully beside him. "This," Kael whispered with a content smile, "is happiness." A sudden flash of golden light erupted in front of his cottage. The wind howled. Leaves scattered. The birds fled. A magic circle over 10 meters wide appeared on the ground. Kael sighed. "You couldn't use the front gate." An elderly man stepped out of the light, adjusting his elegant academy robes. Principal Alaric smiled awkwardly. "I wanted to make an entrance. You scared my chickens. Sorry." Kael poured another cup of tea. "You came all this way. I have a request." "I already know my answer." "You haven't heard it yet." "I don't need to." Alaric laughed helplessly. "Please become a teacher at Astra Academy." "No. I expected that. I retired." "You're 24. I retired early." The principal pinched the bridge of his nose. "You know I wouldn't ask unless I had no other choice." Kael remained silent. "The students need someone. There are many capable teachers." "Not for this class." Kael looked toward his peaceful garden. The vegetables, the flowers, the quiet countryside, everything he had built. "I don't want fame. You won't receive any. I don't want trouble. I can't promise that. I don't want to leave the village. It will only be for 1 year." Kael looked at the old man. "You'll stop bothering me afterward." "I swear on Astra Academy." A long silence followed. The wind rustled through the trees. Finally, Kael let out a defeated sigh. 1 year. Alaric's eyes widened. "Really? 1 year? I won't regret this." "You probably will." The principal laughed heartily for the first time in weeks. Far away, 12 troublesome students continued causing chaos, completely unaware that the man who had just agreed to become their homeroom teacher was someone even dragons treated with respect. And Kael still believed he would be able to enjoy a quiet life. He couldn't have been more mistaken. Chapter 2, A School Hidden from the World. The morning mist still covered the countryside when Kael Ashford stepped out of his cottage carrying a small travel bag over one shoulder. It wasn't filled with weapons or magical artifacts. Inside were only a few changes of clothes, gardening gloves, several packets of vegetable seeds, 2 books, a fishing rod strapped to the side, and a small tea set wrapped carefully in cloth. Kael looked around the peaceful yard one last time. His tomatoes swayed gently in the breeze. The flowers he had planted months ago were beginning to bloom. The chickens wandered around the fence as if nothing had changed. His loyal black dog, Rex, sat quietly beside the porch, watching him with intelligent eyes. Kael crouched down and rubbed the dog's head. I'm going away for a while. Rex whimpered softly. It'll only be a year. The dog barked once. I'll be back before the pumpkins are too lonely. For some reason, Rex looked unconvinced. Several villagers had already gathered outside the gate. News traveled quickly in small villages. Mrs. Eleanor handed Kael a basket. I baked some bread. A fisherman gave him dried fish. A little girl hugged his leg tightly. Mr. Kael, don't stay away too long. I won't. An old blacksmith laughed. Don't forget us when you become someone important. Kael smiled helplessly. I doubt anything like that will happen. The villagers exchanged amused glances. None of them believed it. To them, Kael had always been someone extraordinary. Not because he possessed great power. They didn't know that, but because no matter how busy he was, he always found time to help others. A familiar golden magic circle appeared before the cottage. Principal Alaric stepped out, dressed in his elegant academy robes. I see everyone came to send you off. They worry too much. They care about you. Kael smiled softly. I know. After saying his goodbyes, Kael stepped into the magic circle. Golden light swallowed everything. The village slowly disappeared. When the light faded, Kael found himself standing on a floating island high above the clouds. A cool breeze brushed against his face. He slowly looked around. Towering castles reached toward the heavens. Stone bridges connected enormous floating platforms. Gardens filled with glowing flowers decorated every pathway. Dragons flew peacefully through the distant sky. Students wearing elegant academy uniforms walked between buildings while discussing magic theories and sword techniques. Massive waterfalls flowed from the edges of floating islands into endless clouds below. It looked less like a school, and more like a kingdom from legends. Kael quietly admired the scenery. It's gotten bigger. Alaric laughed. You haven't visited in 10 years. Has it really been that long? You disappeared after graduation. I was busy planting potatoes. Of course you were. As they walked through the academy, students began whispering. Who's that? New teacher. He looks younger than the senior students. I've never seen him before. He doesn't even have mana flowing around him. Kael ignored the curious gazes. He had long grown accustomed to people misunderstanding him. He preferred it that way. The academy was enormous. Every district specialized in different fields. The Eastern District trained swordsmen. The Western District specialized in elemental magic. The Southern District focused on healing and alchemy. The Northern District housed researchers and rune masters. In the center stood the enormous academy tower. Students hurried everywhere. Some practiced flying magic. Others sparred with wooden swords. One group rode griffins across the sky. Another was arguing with tiny spirits. Kael watched quietly. It hasn't changed much. You say that after 10 years. The bakery is still there. That's what you noticed. The bread was good. Alaric couldn't argue with that. Suddenly, boom, a tremendous explosion shook the academy. Black smoke rose from a distant training ground. Students screamed. Teachers rushed toward the scene. Kael calmly sipped the tea he had prepared while walking. Normal. Alaric sighed deeply. Unfortunately. Moments later, another explosion echoed across the campus. Followed by another. Kael blinked. Very normal. Inside the principal's office, several teachers were already waiting. The moment Kael entered, every conversation stopped. Some teachers stared curiously. Others looked doubtful. One elderly professor frowned. This child is our new teacher. I am 24. Still a child. Another instructor crossed his arms. Principal, surely there were better candidates. Alaric calmly poured himself tea. No. Then at least assign him to Class C. No. Class B. No. Class A. No. Silence filled the room. Finally, Alaric smiled. He will become the homeroom teacher of Class 7Z. The room froze. One teacher dropped his notebook. Another nearly spilled his tea. Someone whispered, "Poor young man." A female instructor sighed sympathetically. May the gods protect him. Kael tilted his head. Are they really that troublesome? Everyone looked at him with complicated expressions. One teacher quietly replied, "You'll understand soon." The academy bell rang loudly. Students hurried toward their classrooms. Meanwhile, far inside the oldest building on campus, A classroom door suddenly exploded outward. Crash! A boy surrounded by blazing fire was thrown into the hallway. I'm not losing to you. Another student covered in lightning jumped through the broken doorway. Come back here. An enormous earth wall burst through the classroom windows. Illusion butterflies filled the corridor. Someone accidentally summoned dozens of wolves. A teacher ran away in tears. The hallway became complete chaos. Students from nearby classes simply walked around the destruction. Apparently, this happened often. One first-year student blinked in disbelief. Shouldn't someone stop them? A senior student patted his shoulder. That's Class 7Z. Oh, you'll get used to it. Back inside the principal's office, Kael quietly watched the distant smoke rising from another explosion. That's my class. Alaric nodded. Yes, they seem energetic. Several teachers stared at him in complete disbelief. Energetic. Was that really the word he chose? Most people described Class 7Z as disasters waiting to happen. Kael simply smiled. I've met children far more difficult. No one noticed. Alaric quietly smiled to himself. He had expected exactly that answer. Because unlike everyone else, he knew the truth. The young man standing beside him had once taught an ancient dragon king proper table manners. Compared to that, 12 troublesome teenagers would probably be much easier. Or so everyone hoped. Chapter 3, 12 Problems in One Classroom. The morning bell echoed throughout Astra Academy. Students hurried through the vast stone corridors, chatting excitedly before classes began. For most classrooms, the atmosphere was lively. For one particular hallway, it was eerily quiet. Teachers walking past unconsciously quickened their pace. Some even chose another route. A sign hung crookedly above a pair of reinforced iron doors. Class 7Z. Several deep claw marks covered the walls. The floor had scorch marks from repeated explosions. Half of the corridor ceiling had clearly been rebuilt several times. Kael stopped in front of the classroom. They really are energetic. Principal Alaric, standing beside him, gave a tired smile. You're still saying that. It seems accurate. You'll see. Before either of them could continue. Boom. The classroom doors bulged outward. A second later, crash. Both iron doors were blasted into the hallway. One door narrowly missed Kael before he casually caught it with one hand. The other spun through the air and embedded itself into the opposite wall. Silence. The students inside froze. So did the teachers watching from the hallway. Kael looked at the heavy iron door in his hand. He gently placed it against the wall. You should be careful. Inside the classroom, chaos. Complete chaos. Desks were overturned. Windows were shattered. A small tornado spun near the ceiling. Half the room was frozen solid. The other half was burning. Plants grew wildly through the floor. Several magical wolves chased illusion butterflies around the room. One student was calmly writing equations despite everything. Another slept on a broken desk. Kael quietly looked around. Interesting. The 12 students stared at him. None of them stood. None greeted him. Instead, a tall boy with crimson hair crossed his arms. So you're the new teacher. His voice carried obvious hostility. This was Leon Hart. Fire magic. Known throughout the academy for starting more duels than anyone else. We've gone through 23 teachers. They all quit. You'll leave too. Several students nodded. A silver-haired girl sat by the window reading a book without looking up. Might as well leave now. That was Mira Solis, the class strategist, an ice magician whose cold personality matched her abilities. Nearby, a blond boy nervously hid behind his desk. Pete, please don't fight. No avail. The academy's greatest healer, and its biggest coward. A girl with long green hair quietly held a tiny white rabbit. The rabbit hopped onto Kael's shoulder without hesitation. Oh, the girl blinked in surprise. Snow never approaches strangers. Kael gently scratched the rabbit behind its ears. It likes you. She smiled ever so slightly. My name is Rin. Her voice was barely louder than a whisper. She was the class beast tamer. Meanwhile, a blond boy balanced dangerously on the back of his chair. Electric sparks danced around him. So, he grinned. How strong are you? Kai Storm. Lightning. Swordsman. Professional troublemaker. Near the back, a cheerful girl suddenly made dozens of identical copies of herself. Guess which one is real? The entire classroom filled with laughing illusions. Lilia Moon. Master of illusions. A bespectacled boy never looked away from the strange mechanical device in his hands. If this explodes, he adjusted another rune. The blast radius should only be 15 meters. Kael slowly looked at him. Only. Theo Rune smiled proudly. That's an improvement. Nearby, a shy girl hurriedly watered a flower growing from her desk. Please don't fight. Tiny vines wrapped around her fingers. This was Sarah Bloom, plant mage. She preferred flowers over people. A boy dressed completely in black leaned against the wall. Shadows moved unnaturally beneath his feet. He never spoke, never smiled. His sharp eyes carefully observed Kael. Darius Crow, former assassin trainee. Another girl floated upside down near the ceiling using wind magic. She waved enthusiastically. Good morning. Without warning, she accidentally lost control. Oops. She fell. Kael casually caught her before she hit the floor. Oh. She blinked. Thanks. She smiled brightly. I'm Arya. A huge boy quietly repaired a broken chair with earth magic. He looked intimidating enough to frighten most adults. Morning. His deep voice surprised everyone with its gentleness. This was Felix Stone, the strongest physically, also the kindest. Finally, near the last window, a quiet girl looked outside. Long silver hair gently moved with the breeze. She hadn't spoken once, she simply observed the sky. Yuna Starfall, the Academy's greatest mystery. Even the teachers knew almost nothing about her. She briefly glanced at Kael, then returned to watching the clouds. Kael nodded slowly. 12 students, 12 personalities. He smiled. It's nice to meet all of you. No response. Instead, Leon suddenly kicked a desk toward him. The heavy wooden desk shot across the room like a cannonball. Several students smirked. Another teacher. Another test. Kael simply stepped aside. The desk flew past him, then gently stopped in midair. Without anyone touching it, it slowly floated back, returned perfectly to its original place. Not even a scratch. Silence. Theo adjusted his glasses. Interesting. Kai narrowed his eyes. No magic circle. Mira finally looked up from her book. For the first time, Leon frowned. Lucky. He raised his hand. Flames exploded around his body. The temperature inside the classroom instantly rose. We don't accept weak teachers. I'll give you one chance. Beat me. Several students sighed. Here we go again. Noah immediately hid beneath his desk. Lilia quietly created a magical barrier around Theo. Felix carefully moved Sarah's flowers away from the coming fight. Apparently, this happened often. Kael looked at Leon calmly. I don't intend to fight my students. Leon laughed. Then leave. No, I'll make you. He launched himself forward. A blazing fist rushed toward Kael's face. The hallway outside erupted into panic. Teachers hurried away. Students gathered to watch through the broken doorway. Another teacher's finished. Poor guy. I wonder how long he lasted. Inside the classroom, Kael remained standing, completely relaxed. He watched Leon approach. Then, he simply raised one finger. Tap. His fingertip lightly touched Leon's forehead. Nothing more. No explosion. No magic. No flashy technique. Leon stopped instantly. His entire body froze. His fist remained only inches from Kael's face. No matter how hard he pushed, he couldn't move another step. His eyes widened. What? The classroom became silent. Everyone stared. No one understood what had just happened. Not even Leon. Kael smiled kindly. You have excellent talent, but your first punch tells me something. Leon gritted his teeth. What? You're angry. Not strong. The words struck harder than any attack. For the first time in years, Leon couldn't answer. And for the first time, every student in Class 7Z looked at their new teacher with genuine curiosity. Perhaps, this teacher was different from all the others. Chapter 4, The Desk That Broke a Mountain. Silence filled Class 7Z. Leon's heart stood frozen, his blazing fist only inches away from Kael Ashford's face. One finger. That was all it had taken. No spell, no chant, no aura. No one had even sensed mana. Yet Leon, one of the strongest first-year students in Astra Academy, couldn't move another step. The classroom had never been this quiet. Even the illusion butterflies created by Lilia seemed to stop fluttering. Kai Storm slowly lowered the lightning dancing around his sword. Quote dot dot dot. Impossible. Theo Rune adjusted his glasses for the third time. I analyzed everything. There was no magic. Mira Solis finally closed her book. For the first time that morning, she looked directly at Kael. Quote dot dot dot. Interesting. Kael gently removed his finger from Leon's forehead. The pressure vanished instantly. Leon stumbled backward before catching himself. His pride hurt far more than his body. Quote dot dot dot. How? Kael smiled. You leaned too far forward. Quote dot dot dot. That's not what I meant. The class burst into laughter. Even Arya floated around the room giggling. Leon clenched his fists. His face turned bright red. I wasn't serious, he roared. Flames exploded around him. The temperature inside the classroom soared. The wooden floor blackened beneath his feet. Windows rattled violently. Noah immediately hid under his desk. Not again. Felix sighed. There goes the classroom. Sarah hurriedly protected her flowers with vines. Apparently, everyone expected destruction. Kael looked around. You destroy your classroom often. Kai answered casually. About twice a week. Theo corrected him. 3.4 times. Quote dot dot dot. You keep count. For research. Leon stomped forward. I'll show you real power. His fire condensed into a blazing sphere nearly 2 meters wide. Teachers watching from outside immediately panicked. Barrier. Evacuate nearby classrooms. Students flooded into the hallway. Even several instructors prepared defensive magic. Principal Alaric simply watched through the window. Completely calm. A nearby professor looked horrified. Shouldn't we stop him? Alaric smiled. No. Quote dot dot dot. Why? Watch. Inside the classroom, Leon launched the enormous fireball. It roared across the room like a miniature sun. The heat melted nearby desks. Everyone instinctively shielded their eyes. Kael sighed quietly. What a waste. Quote dot 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 question mark quote. The desk. Before the fireball could reach him, Kael picked up the nearest wooden school desk. Nothing special about it. Old. Scratched. One leg had been repaired several times. He held it with one hand. Quote dot dot dot. This should do. Then, he casually tossed it. Not at Leon. Not at the fireball. Straight upward. The desk lightly bumped the classroom ceiling. Tap. Nothing happened. Everyone blinked. Quote dot dot dot. He missed. Then, the ceiling disappeared. Boom. The desk pierced through the academy roof like a shooting star. 1 floor. 2 floors. 3 floors. Stone. Steel. Ancient magical barriers. Everything shattered effortlessly. The desk continued flying. Higher. Higher. Until it vanished into the clouds. The fireball Leon had launched was quietly split in half by the shockwave before disappearing harmlessly. Silence. Absolute silence. Several seconds later, far beyond Astra Academy, a distant mountain trembled. Then, the mountain's peak slowly slid sideways. A clean cut, perfectly smooth. Half the summit gently separated before collapsing into a nearby valley. Birds flew away in panic. Clouds dispersed. Everyone at the academy stared toward the horizon. Quote dot 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 quote. Quote dot 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 quote. Quote dot 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 quote. Someone swallowed loudly. Inside the classroom, Kai slowly pointed toward the missing ceiling. Quote dot dot dot. Did. Quote dot dot dot. Did he just throw? Quote dot dot dot. A desk. Theo's notebook fell from his hands. My calculations. Quote dot dot dot. They don't work anymore. Lilia's illusions vanished from pure shock. Noah fainted. Arya floated in circles. That was awesome. Felix looked between Kael, then the sky. Quote dot dot dot. How? Mira remained silent, but for the first time, a tiny crack appeared in her calm expression. She wasn't frightened. She was curious. Very curious. Leon himself stood completely motionless. His flames had disappeared. His mouth hung open. My attack. Kael looked at the destroyed ceiling. I suppose the classroom will get wet if it rains. He turned toward Felix. You use earth magic, correct? Felix nodded automatically. Why yes. Would you help me repair it later? Quote dot dot dot. Of course. Thank you. Kael smiled warmly. As expected, you'll all become wonderful people. The students stared at him. Not because of the compliment, but because, after throwing a wooden desk hard enough to slice a mountain, he was worried about rain. Outside the classroom, teachers gathered silently. One elderly professor whispered. Was that a wooden desk? Another nodded weakly. I believe so. It destroyed Mount Veritas. Yes. Principal Alaric quietly sipped his tea. I told you. There was only one person who could teach Class 7Z. None of the teachers responded. They were still trying to understand how an ordinary classroom desk had become one of the most terrifying weapons they had ever witnessed. Back inside, Kael picked up a piece of chalk. He wrote neatly across the blackboard. Lesson 1. Strength exists to protect. He turned toward the class. If your power only destroys. Then you haven't learned how to use it. The room became silent once more. No one laughed. No one argued. For the first time, every one of the 12 students sat down. Not because they were afraid, but because they genuinely wanted to hear what this strange young teacher had to say. Outside the classroom, word spread through Astra Academy faster than wildfire. The new teacher of Class 7Z had thrown a wooden desk and accidentally cut a mountain in half. By lunchtime, the story had already become an academy legend, and Kael Ashford remained completely unaware of the chaos he had caused. Chapter 5. Your first lesson isn't magic. The rumor spread across Astra Academy before the afternoon bell had even rung. The new teacher of Class 7Z split Mount Veritas with a wooden desk. No way. I heard it was just a rumor. My cousin from the night department saw it. They say the principal didn't even look surprised. Within a single day, every student in the academy knew the name of the new homeroom teacher. Kael Ashford. Ironically, the person at the center of the rumor knew absolutely nothing about it. Inside Class 7Z, the missing ceiling had already been temporarily repaired by Felix's earth magic and Theo's rune barriers. Sunlight still filtered through several cracks. Kael looked around the room. Every student was watching him. Not out of respect, not yet, but because they couldn't understand him. He was unlike every teacher they had ever met. Instead of boasting, he acted as though throwing a desk through a mountain was an everyday mistake. Kael picked up a piece of chalk. He erased the words, "Strength exists to protect," then wrote something new. Today's lesson, learning your classmates. The students blinked. Kai raised his hand. Where's the combat training? There isn't any. Leon frowned. What about magic? No. Theo adjusted his glasses. Rune theory? No. Arya tilted her head. Flying practice? No. Lilia laughed. So what are we doing? Kael smiled. We're talking. Silence. Talking. Every student looked confused. Kael folded his arms. Tell me, who here knows everyone's favorite food? No one answered. Favorite hobby? Silence. Birthday? Still nothing. Kael nodded. As I expected. Leon crossed his arms. What does that have to do with becoming stronger? Kael calmly looked at him. If you don't know the person fighting beside you. How will you know when they're hurting? The room became quiet. Kael walked between the desks. Magic, swordsmanship, mana, those can all be taught. He stopped beside Noah. But trust. He looked around the room. Must be earned. He clapped his hands once. Move the desks. Huh, we're eating lunch together. Kai looked disappointed. Seriously? Yes. No fighting. No competition. No explosions. Preferably. Lilia giggled. I like this teacher. Within minutes, the classroom had transformed. Instead of rows of desks, they formed one large circle. For the first time, every student sat facing one another. Not separated by power or reputation. Just 12 classmates. Kael placed several baskets on the table. Fresh bread, vegetables, fruit, homemade jam, soup. Everyone stared. You cooked all of this? Kael nodded. I woke up early. Arya's eyes sparkled. It smells amazing. Felix quietly swallowed. Sarah stared at the colorful vegetables. They're beautiful. Theo picked up a tomato. Impossible. Everyone looked at him. This tomato has perfect symmetry. That's your concern. Kael poured tea for everyone. Before eating, I want each of you to introduce yourselves. Collective groans echoed through the room. Leon leaned back. You already know our names. I don't know you. The sentence caught everyone off guard. Kael looked toward Leon. You first. Leon sighed dramatically. My name's Leon Hart. You know that. My hobby. Training. My favorite food. He looked embarrassed. Spicy curry. My dream. Silence. Everyone looked at him. Leon scratched his cheek. To become stronger than my father. The room fell silent. Kael simply nodded. Thank you. Next. Mira slowly closed her book. Mira Solis. I enjoy reading. My favorite drink is hot chocolate. My dream. She hesitated. I don't have one. Kael noticed the sadness in her eyes. But he didn't ask. Not yet. One by one, each student introduced themselves. Noah admitted he loved baking cookies. Kai secretly enjoyed repairing motorcycles. Lilia collected funny hats. Theo built miniature machines. Sarah loved talking to flowers. Felix baked bread every weekend. Arya wanted to travel the world. Rin enjoyed watching wild animals. Darius quietly admitted he liked watching sunsets. Even Yuna, who hadn't spoken all morning, softly whispered, I like stars. Only 4 words, yet the entire class looked shocked. She spoke. Finally, everyone looked toward Kael. What about you? Arya asked. Kai grinned. What kind of legendary hobbies does someone like you have? Kael thought for a moment. I enjoy farming. Fishing. Making tea. Growing pumpkins. The classroom became completely silent. Leon blinked. Seriously? Yes. No secret training. No hidden techniques. I compost. Theo looked genuinely fascinated. Can you teach me? Of course. The entire class burst into laughter. Even Mira smiled. Just a little. Noah nearly dropped his cup from laughing. Kai leaned back in disbelief. Our teacher is obsessed with vegetables. Kael looked confused. They're useful. For nearly 2 hours, no one trained, no one fought. Instead, they talked, they laughed, shared stories, argued over food. Lilia somehow convinced Leon to wear a ridiculous straw hat. Arya challenged Felix to see who could eat bread faster. Theo enthusiastically explained why potatoes were mathematically efficient. Even Darius, usually silent, answered a few questions. The atmosphere inside Class 7Z slowly changed. Without anyone noticing, outside the classroom, several teachers secretly peeked through the windows. Why are they eating? Why aren't they fighting? Leon is laughing. Did someone cast an illusion? Principal Alaric smiled knowingly. No, they're simply acting like children. As the afternoon sun shone through the repaired ceiling, Kael quietly watched his students. They were still loud, still troublesome, still carried heavy burdens they refused to share. But, for the first time, they weren't 12 individuals sitting in the same classroom. They were beginning to become classmates. And Kael knew, before he could teach them magic, he first had to teach them something much more important. How to become a family. Chapter 6, Breakfast Before Battle. The sun had not yet risen. Astra Academy was still wrapped in the cool blue light of dawn. Most students were asleep. Even the training grounds, usually filled with the sounds of clashing swords and exploding magic, were quiet. Only one building showed signs of life. Class 7Z. Teacher. Leon rubbed his sleepy eyes as he stared at the classroom door. A notice was pinned neatly to it. Today's class. Meet at the academy kitchen. 5 a.m. Wear comfortable clothes. Kael Ashford. Leon frowned. The kitchen. Kai yawned loudly. I thought we'd finally start combat training. Arya stretched her arms. I've never even been awake this early. Noah looked ready to fall asleep while standing. Lilia giggled. This already feels suspicious. One by one, the 12 students gathered outside the academy's enormous kitchen. To their surprise, Kael was already there. He wore a simple apron over his usual clothes. His sleeves were rolled up. Fresh vegetables, baskets of eggs, sacks of flour, herbs, fruits, and meat were neatly arranged across several long tables. The delicious aroma of freshly baked bread filled the room. Felix unconsciously sniffed the air. Fresh butter. Theo adjusted his glasses. The bread was baked exactly 23 minutes ago. Kael smiled. Good morning. The class answered weakly. Morning. Kael clapped his hands. Today's lesson. Leon immediately stepped forward. Finally. Swordsmanship. No. Magic. No. Then what? Kael picked up an apron. We're making breakfast. Silence. Kai blinked. Seriously? Yes. Leon groaned dramatically. We're warriors. Kael calmly looked at him. Then feed your allies. Nobody understood. Except Felix. The large boy quietly smiled. Kael divided everyone into groups. Group 1. Leon. Mira. Noah. You'll make soup. Leon immediately protested. I can't cook. That's why you'll learn. Group 2. Kai. Lilia. Theo. You'll bake bread. Theo's eyes sparkled. I've always wanted to calculate bread expansion. Kai sighed. Please don't. Group 3. Felix. Sarah. Arya. You'll prepare vegetables. Arya looked disappointed. Can I at least cut them dramatically? No. Fine. Group 4. Rin. Darius. Yuna. You'll prepare tea. The quiet trio simply nodded. Chaos began almost immediately. Why is it burning? Leon accidentally filled the soup pot with far too much fire. The water evaporated instantly. Smoke covered the kitchen. Noah panicked. Water. Mira sighed before freezing the pot. Hopeless. Across the room, Theo had somehow invented a magical bread mixer. Observe. The machine spun faster. And faster. Then, boom. Flour exploded everywhere. Kai emerged completely white. I'm going to throw you into the lake. Lilia laughed so hard she created dozens of laughing illusions. Meanwhile, Arya chopped vegetables so quickly that carrots flew across the room like throwing knives. Kael casually caught one. Knives are for cooking. Sorry. Felix quietly demonstrated proper cutting techniques. Sarah smiled. You really like cooking. Felix scratched his cheek. My grandmother owns a bakery. The others looked surprised. He had never mentioned that before. Near the windows, Rin carefully prepared tea. Small birds gathered beside her. Tiny rabbits hopped onto nearby chairs. Even the academy cats wandered inside. Yuna silently poured hot water into delicate teacups. Darius carefully arranged them. Kael watched quietly. Beautiful. The three students looked slightly embarrassed. An hour later, the kitchen looked like a battlefield. Broken bowls, scattered vegetables, burned bread, flour covered almost everyone. Leon stared blankly at what used to be soup. Can people eat this? Theo poked it with a spoon. It appears. Alive. Everyone slowly backed away. Kael smiled. Gather around. The students surrounded him. He picked up a single carrot. Cooking. He sliced it. Each movement was simple. No wasted motion. No flashy skills. Yet every piece was exactly the same size. He chopped onions. Prepared herbs. Cooked soup. Baked bread. Made salad. Brewed tea. Everything flowed together naturally. The students watched in complete silence. It didn't feel like watching someone cook. It felt like watching art. Leon whispered. He's amazing. Mira nodded slightly. Every movement has purpose. Theo rapidly filled several notebooks. I've discovered 27 new techniques. Kai scratched his head. How does someone peel potatoes that beautifully? Soon, the kitchen filled with wonderful aromas. Fresh bread, vegetable soup, roasted meat, tea, warm pastries. Arya's stomach growled loudly. Everyone laughed, even Arya. Kael placed the finished meal on the table. Then looked at his students. Strength isn't only measured by what you can destroy. He handed Leon a bowl of soup. It's also measured. Leon accepted it carefully. By what you can create. The room became quiet. No one spoke. They simply looked at the food. Food prepared with patience, care, kindness. Things none of them had ever associated with becoming stronger. Later that morning, the 13 of them sat together enjoying breakfast. Leon proudly served everyone his second attempt at soup. It actually tastes good. Mira admitted quietly. Noah smiled with relief. Theo declared bread making an advanced magical science. Felix promised to teach everyone how to bake. Lilia somehow convinced Kai to wear another ridiculous apron. Even Yuna smiled. Only for a second. But Kael noticed. He smiled to himself. Small steps. That was enough. Outside the kitchen, several teachers secretly watched through the windows. One whispered, "They're cooking." Another nodded, "Yesterday they talked." "Today they're making breakfast." A third teacher looked confused. "When does the training begin?" Principal Alaric quietly smiled. "It already has." The teachers looked at him. Alaric watched Class 7Z laughing together around the breakfast table. Because before Kael teaches them how to win battles. He's teaching them why they're worth fighting for. The morning sun rose over Astra Academy. For the first time in many years. Class 7Z didn't begin the day with explosions. They began it, sharing breakfast together. And somehow, that simple meal became the strongest foundation they had ever built. Chapter 7. The Fire That Wouldn't Listen. The days following the cooking lesson were surprisingly peaceful. No classrooms exploded. No hallways were destroyed. No teachers submitted resignation letters. For Astra Academy, that alone was nothing short of a miracle. The teachers whispered among themselves. "What is Kael doing? I haven't heard a single explosion from Class 7Z. Are they studying?" Even Principal Alaric couldn't help but smile every time he heard the reports. They're finally beginning to change. Not everyone was changing at the same pace. Every morning, before sunrise, one student could always be found alone at the training grounds. Leon Hart. His sword slashed through the air again and again. Fire burst from every strike. Sweat soaked his clothes. His breathing became heavier. Still, he refused to stop. Again, a pillar of flame erupted. Boom. The practice dummy turned to ash. Leon gritted his teeth. Not enough. Hidden behind a large oak tree, Kael quietly watched. He held a small watering can in one hand. Earlier that morning, he had planted flowers around the training grounds because they looked lonely. Now he observed his student in silence. Leon's flames were powerful, wild, explosive, beautiful. But there was no control. Every attack consumed far more mana than necessary. Every movement carried frustration. Every swing was driven by anger. "You'll collapse." Leon's sword stopped. He turned sharply. Teacher. Kael approached calmly. "You've been here since 4 o'clock. I couldn't sleep. Because you're training." Leon looked away. Because I lost. Kael understood immediately. The memory of being stopped with a single finger still haunted Leon. "I need more power." Leon's voice was low. "I can't stay weak." Kael tilted his head. "Weak." Leon clenched his fists. "You don't understand. My father. He only respects strength. If I'm not the strongest, I'm worthless." Silence filled the training ground. Kael said nothing. He simply listened. Sometimes, listening was the best lesson. After several minutes, Leon spoke again. "When I was 6, my father burned down our old training hall." Kael frowned slightly. "Accident." Leon laughed bitterly. "No," he said. "If you can't survive fire, you don't deserve to wield it. I trained inside the flames. I failed." So he walked away. Kael quietly watched the rising sun. "So, you became angry." Leon nodded. "I hate him. I hate myself. I hate being weak." His flames flickered violently. The fire around him became unstable. It scorched the grass beneath his feet. Kael walked closer. "May I ask you something?" "What? What is fire?" Leon frowned. An element. No. A weapon. No. Power. Kael smiled gently. "Fire. Gives warmth." Leon blinked. "It cooks food. It keeps families warm during winter. It lights dark places. It protects." Kael looked directly into Leon's eyes. "It only becomes destructive when the one using it loses control." Leon remained silent. No teacher had ever said that before. Everyone praised his destructive power. No one had ever spoken about its gentleness. Kael suddenly pointed toward a nearby field. Hundreds of colorful wildflowers bloomed peacefully. "Burn them." Leon looked confused. "What? Use your strongest fire." Leon hesitated. Why? Just try. Leon took a deep breath. Flames erupted around him. He raised both hands. A massive inferno gathered overhead. The surrounding temperature skyrocketed. Nearby students instinctively stepped back. Even teachers watching from afar became nervous. Leon released the attack. The sea of fire rushed toward the flowers. Then, Kael casually stepped forward. He gently tapped Leon's wrist. The flames instantly changed direction. Instead of burning the flowers, the fire spread harmlessly around them. Warm air drifted across the field. The flowers swayed peacefully. Not a single petal was damaged. Leon stared in disbelief. My fire. It, didn't burn anything. Kael smiled. It listened. Leon looked at his own hands. For years, his flames had only destroyed. Today, for the first time, they protected something. Kael walked into the flower field. He picked a single red blossom. This flower survived because your fire obeyed your heart. He handed it to Leon. Real strength, is choosing what not to destroy. The words struck deeper than any attack. At that moment, several students had quietly gathered nearby. Arya wiped her eyes. That was beautiful. Felix nodded. I've never seen Leon's fire so calm. Mira quietly closed her book. She had witnessed every moment. His mana flow changed. Theo immediately began writing. Hypothesis. Emotional stability directly affects elemental efficiency. Kai crossed his arms. So, the old man was right. Everyone looked at him. Kai scratched his head awkwardly. Our teacher really is different. Leon slowly looked at the flower in his hand. Then at Kael. Teacher. Will you teach me? Kael smiled warmly. I've been trying since the day we met. For the first time since entering Astra Academy. Leon bowed his head. Not out of defeat. Not out of fear. But out of respect. Please. Teach me. Kael gently placed a hand on his shoulder. Very well. From today onward, we'll begin learning how to control your fire. The morning breeze carried away the last traces of smoke. For the first time in many years, Leon's heart's flames no longer burned with hatred. They burned with hope. Chapter 8. One Finger. 3 days passed after Leon's lesson. The academy had changed in subtle ways. Leon no longer challenged every student he met. He still trained before sunrise, but now his flames were calmer, more controlled. Instead of burning everything around him, he practiced creating small flames that hovered above flowers without scorching a single petal. The students who passed by could hardly believe their eyes. Is that really Leon? He didn't destroy the training ground today. I heard the new teacher changed him. The rumors surrounding Class 7Z only continued to grow. Inside the faculty lounge, several teachers gathered around a table. A mountain of reports lay before them. One instructor sighed. Property damage from Class 7Z has dropped by 90%. Another adjusted his glasses. They've also attended every class this week. A third looked utterly confused. What exactly is Kael teaching them? Principal Alaric quietly sipped his tea. Life. Life. He smiled. The strongest lessons rarely happen inside a textbook. Meanwhile, Class 7Z entered the largest training arena in Astra Academy. Unlike the ordinary practice fields, this arena was enormous. Stone pillars stretched toward the sky. Ancient magic circles covered the floor. Protective barriers shimmered around the edges. Thousands of spectators could watch battles from the surrounding seats. Kai whistled. Now this looks more like training. Arya bounced excitedly. Are we finally fighting? Theo immediately began examining the runes carved into the arena floor. They're over 800 years old. Felix looked around nervously. I hope we don't break anything. Leon glanced at Kael. So, what's today's lesson? Kael smiled. Balance. The class exchanged confused looks. Kael walked to the center of the arena. He raised one hand. Then, he extended a single finger. Today's goal, he said calmly, is to move me. Silence. What? You may attack together. If any one of you can force me to move even one step, I'll consider today's lesson complete. Kai grinned. That's all. Leon smiled for the first time in days. I like this lesson. Lilia giggled. This sounds fun. Mira narrowed her eyes. It's a trap. The protective barrier activated. Teachers quietly gathered in the spectator seats. Word had spread. The mysterious teacher of Class 7Z was finally demonstrating his abilities. Even students from other classes skipped their breaks to watch. Class A occupied the front rows. One blonde student crossed his arms. So that's the famous new teacher. He doesn't look very impressive. Another laughed. He'll regret underestimating them. Back inside the arena, Kael stood quietly, hands behind his back, only his right index finger remained raised. Whenever you're ready. Leon stepped forward first. I'll begin. His flames erupted. Unlike before, they were focused, controlled. He dashed forward with incredible speed. His flaming fist shot toward Kael. At the last moment, Kael raised his finger. Tap. Leon stopped instantly. Again, no matter how much strength he used, he couldn't move forward. His feet dug deep grooves into the stone floor. But Kael didn't move even an inch. Kai attacked next. Lightning exploded across the arena. His sword flashed dozens of times in an instant. Every strike, stopped by that same finger. Tap, tap, tap. Each touch redirected the blade without force. Without violence. Kai leapt backward. How? Arya rushed in from above. Wind surrounded her like a tornado. She attacked from every direction. Kael calmly turned. One finger. One touch. She spun harmlessly through the air before landing safely on her feet. Whoa. She blinked. That was fun. Theo activated several rune circles. Chains of magical light shot toward Kael. The runes surrounded him completely. Theo smiled confidently. Now, the chains tightened. Then, Kael gently flicked one chain with his finger. Every rune shattered at once. Theo froze. My calculations. Again, the remaining students joined the battle. Felix raised enormous walls of earth. Sarah covered the arena with living vines. Rin summoned magical wolves. Lilia filled the battlefield with hundreds of illusions. Darius emerged silently from the shadows. Mira unleashed frozen spears from every direction. Noah supported everyone with healing magic. Yuna quietly watched. She never attacked. The arena shook continuously. Fire, ice, lightning, wind, earth, plants, illusions, shadow, beasts. Magic filled every corner. Spectators watched in amazement. Class 7Z had never fought together before. Yet, at the center of everything, Kael remained exactly where he had started. Not one step, not 1 inch. Every attack was gently redirected. Every spell harmlessly dispersed. Every beast was calmly patted on the head before wandering away happily. The summoned wolves even began wagging their tails. Rin stared in disbelief. They like him. After nearly 20 minutes, the students finally stopped. They were exhausted. Sweat covered their uniforms. Heavy breathing echoed through the arena. Kael, meanwhile, still looked as though he had just arrived. He lowered his finger. Excellent. Leon laughed weakly. You're making fun of us. No. Kael shook his head. You've already improved. The students looked surprised. We lost. You learned. Kael smiled gently. Those aren't the same thing. He walked toward the center of the arena. When you attacked separately, you were strong. When you attacked together, you became much stronger. He looked at each student. But, you were still trying to defeat me. He pointed toward the entire class. Instead, you should have been protecting each other. Silence filled the arena. No one had thought that way. Not once. Kael raised his finger again. This finger was never stopping your strength. He smiled. It was stopping your impatience. Those simple words echoed through the silent arena. Even the teachers listening from above fell silent. Class A's students looked at one another. The blonde student who had mocked Kael earlier slowly stood. His eyes were filled with excitement. I want to fight him. Beside him, his classmates nodded. For the first time, Class A had found someone they genuinely wanted to challenge. As the students of Class 7Z left the arena together, they realized something. None of them felt frustrated. None of them felt humiliated. Instead, they were smiling. Because for the first time, defeat hadn't made them feel weak. It had shown them how much stronger they could still become. Behind them, Kael quietly looked at the finger that had stopped every attack. He chuckled softly. I hope tomorrow, we can finally work in the academy garden. He still believed teaching would remain peaceful. Unfortunately for him, the academy had very different plans. Chapter 9, The Ice Queen Smiles. A cold wind swept across Astra Academy. Although spring had already arrived, one corner of the academy remained covered in frost. Students avoided it instinctively. Not because it was dangerous, but because it belonged to Mira Solis. Whenever she trained, the air froze. Flowers withered beneath layers of ice. The temperature dropped so low that even experienced mages struggled to remain nearby. Some students admired her talent. Most feared her. No one truly knew her. Early that morning, Mira stood alone in the Frost Garden, an isolated training area reserved for ice element users. She raised a hand. Hundreds of shimmering ice shards appeared around her. With a gentle motion, they shot toward dozens of stone targets. Crack! Every target shattered perfectly. No wasted movement. No unnecessary mana. Her control was flawless. Yet, she sighed. Still not enough. A quiet voice answered from behind. Enough for what? She turned. Kael stood a few steps away, carrying a watering can and a basket of flower seedlings. Teacher. He looked around at the frozen garden. It's beautiful. Mira frowned. Most people call it cold. Kael smiled. Snow is beautiful too. For a while, neither of them spoke. Kael simply began planting small flowers near the edge of the frozen field. Mira watched him. Those won't survive. They might. The cold will kill them. Then we'll find flowers that like the cold. She blinked. There are such flowers. There are many things we don't notice because we never look for them. Curiosity slowly replaced her usual indifference. She quietly walked over. May I help? Kael handed her a small shovel. Of course. As they worked together, the silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was peaceful. After several minutes, Kael finally asked, "Why do you always train alone?" Mira continued digging. It's easier. For whom? She stopped. My classmates. They don't have to worry about being frozen. Kael listened quietly. I wasn't always like this. When I was little, my ice magic awakened during winter. She looked down at her hands. I couldn't control it. My younger sister caught a terrible fever after I accidentally froze our room. Her voice trembled slightly. She survived. But my parents stopped letting me play with other children. They were afraid I'd hurt someone again. So you decided to stay away from everyone. She nodded. If no one gets close, no one gets hurt. Kael placed another flower into the soil. Mira. She looked up. Would you freeze me? Her eyes widened. What? If I stood here, would you intentionally hurt me? Of course not. The answer came immediately. She looked embarrassed. I'd never do that. Kael smiled gently. Exactly. She slowly understood. The person you're afraid of doesn't exist anymore. Silence filled the garden. For years, she had believed she was dangerous. Yet, without realizing it, she had spent every day protecting everyone around her. Kael stood. Let's try something. He walked into the center of the frozen field. Freeze me. I can't. You can. I don't want to. I know. He smiled. That's why you won't. Mira hesitated. Slowly, she raised one hand. Cold air filled the garden. Snowflakes began to fall. An enormous wave of ice spread across the ground toward Kael. At the last moment, the ice split apart, flowing around him like water around a stone. Not a single crystal touched him. The flowers nearby remained untouched as well. Mira stared in disbelief. I controlled it. Kael nodded. You've always had control. The only thing trapping your magic was your fear. Tears quietly gathered in her eyes. Not from sadness, but relief. For the first time in years, she realized she had never been a monster. At that moment, laughter echoed nearby. The rest of Class 7Z had arrived. Arya immediately waved. Mira. Leon smiled. We've been looking everywhere. Kai looked at the frozen flowers. Nice place. Lilia quietly walked over and gently placed a flower crown on Myra's head. There. Now you're officially the Queen of Ice. Everyone laughed. Even Felix smiled. Mira instinctively reached for the flower crown. It's crooked. Lilia fixed it. There. Perfect. The class looked at her expectantly. Arya tilted her head. Well. Well what? Smile. Mira sighed. That's impossible. Lilia puffed out her cheeks. I saw one earlier. Leon nodded. So did I. Kai grinned. It wasn't bad. Mira looked at every one of them. Leon, Kai, Arya, Felix, Sarah, Theo. Noah, Rin, Darius, Lilia, Yuna, and finally, Kael. They weren't afraid of her. Not one of them. For the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere. A tiny smile appeared on her face. Small, gentle, real. The entire class froze. Quote. 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 Arya screamed first. She smiled. Leon laughed loudly. I knew she could. Lilia hugged Mira tightly. So cute. Myra's face immediately turned bright red. I take it back. Everyone burst into laughter. Even Yuna quietly giggled. From a nearby building, several teachers watched the scene. One whispered, quote. Is that Mira Solis, the Ice Queen? Another nodded slowly. I've never seen her smile before. Principal Alaric smiled to himself. Kael hadn't taught Mira a new spell. He hadn't made her stronger. He had simply reminded her that she deserved happiness. Sometimes, that was the greatest lesson of all. As the afternoon sun melted a few patches of snow, the frost garden no longer felt lonely. For the first time, it felt warm. Chapter 10, The Boy Who Always Ran Away. The morning after Mira smiled, the atmosphere in Class 7Z had become noticeably lighter. Leon no longer started arguments the moment class began. Kai still joked around, but he had stopped provoking fights. Lilia laughed as loudly as ever. Even Darius occasionally joined conversations. Only one student remained exactly the same. Noah Vale. He still sat near the back of the classroom. Still avoided eye contact. Still apologized whenever someone accidentally bumped into him. Still flinched whenever anyone raised their voice. Kael quietly watched him. Unlike Leon, whose anger was obvious, or Mira, whose loneliness hid behind silence. Noah's fear was invisible, but it was there, always. That afternoon, Kael entered the classroom carrying a large wooden box. The students gathered around curiously. Theo adjusted his glasses. Quote. What's inside? Kael smiled. Today's lesson. He opened the lid. Inside were dozens of injured birds, rabbits, squirrels, and even a tiny fox. Some had broken wings. Others had cuts or bruises. The entire class immediately became quiet. Arya gasped. They're hurt. Sarah gently picked up a frightened bird. So many. Kael nodded. They were found near the forest after last night's storm. He looked toward the class. Today's lesson is healing. Everyone instinctively turned toward Noah. The blonde boy shrank into his chair. Me. Kael nodded. Yes. Noah shook his head repeatedly. I can't. You can. No. His hands trembled. I'll fail. I always fail. Kael didn't force him. Instead, he gently picked up the tiny fox. Its front paw was injured. He carefully placed it into Noah's arms. The fox looked at Noah with frightened golden eyes. It's scared. Noah whispered. Kael smiled. So are you. The room fell silent. Noah looked down. When I was younger, my village was attacked by magical beasts. The other students quietly listened. My parents were healers. They saved everyone. Quote. Except themselves. His voice cracked. I tried to heal them. I couldn't. They died. His hands shook violently. Ever since then, I've been afraid. Every time I heal someone, I'm scared they'll die. So, I stopped trying. Nobody interrupted him. For the first time, Noah had shared his past. Kael sat beside him. Do you know why healers are extraordinary? Noah shook his head. They stand beside pain every day. They know they can't save everyone. And yet, they still choose to help. Kael gently placed a hand over Noah's. Close your eyes. Noah obeyed. What do you feel? Quote. My heartbeat. The fox. Quote. It's shaking. Why? It's afraid. Kael nodded. So are you. Tell me, Noah, if you were the injured one, what would you want? Noah answered almost immediately. Quote. Someone. Quote. Anyone. Quote. To help me. Kael smiled. Then help. Not because you're certain, but because someone needs you. A tear rolled down Noah's cheek. He slowly looked at the tiny fox. Quote. I'll try. Soft golden light appeared around his hands. Unlike Leon's blazing fire, or Myra's freezing ice, Noah's mana felt warm, gentle, comforting. The light slowly surrounded the fox's injured paw. The wound began to close. The fox blinked. Then, it carefully stood up. It wasn't fully healed. But it no longer cried in pain. Everyone watched in silence. Noah stared at his own hands. It worked. The fox gently rubbed its head against Noah's arm. As if thanking him, Kael smiled. You didn't erase all the pain. But you eased it. He looked directly at Noah. Sometimes. That's enough. Inspired by Noah, the rest of the class began helping. Sarah treated injured plants brought in by the storm. Felix carefully built small shelters for the animals. Rin spoke softly to calm frightened creatures. Lilia entertained them with tiny glowing illusions. Arya fetched water. Kai repaired broken cages. Theo invented lightweight splints for broken wings. Even Darius quietly carried supplies without saying a word. Yuna gently held a tiny bird while Noah healed it. For hours, the classroom transformed into a small animal clinic. The sounds of laughter replaced silence. Birds chirped. Rabbits hopped around happily. Even Leon smiled while carefully feeding a baby. Squirrel. If anyone tells people I did this, I'll deny it. Kai laughed. Too late. Later that afternoon, the last animal had been treated. Kael opened the classroom windows. One by one, the birds flew back into the sky. The rabbits disappeared into the nearby forest. The tiny fox looked back one last time, then happily ran away. Noah watched them go, his eyes filled with tears. Not from sadness, but relief. As the classroom emptied, Kael stopped beside Noah. You ran away because you were afraid of failing. Noah lowered his head. Yes. Kael smiled gently. But today, you stayed. Noah looked up. For the first time, his smile wasn't nervous. It was genuine. Thank you. Outside the classroom, several teachers quietly watched through the hallway windows. One whispered, "That's the first time I've ever seen Noah volunteer to heal anything." Another nodded, "I thought he hated healing." Principal Alaric smiled. No, he only hated blaming himself. As the sun began to set, Class 7Z walked back to their dormitories together. The atmosphere felt different, lighter, warmer. The students teased Noah about becoming the class veterinarian. He blushed furiously while everyone laughed. Even he couldn't stop smiling. Kael quietly watched from behind. One by one, the walls surrounding his students were beginning to crumble. Not through battles, not through overwhelming strength, but through kindness. And Kael believed that kindness was a strength far greater than any magic. Chapter 11, Training Without Fighting. The following week, a strange rumor spread throughout Astra Academy. Class 7Z hasn't fought anyone for 7 straight days. No way. Leon didn't challenge Class A. I saw him helping first years carry books. That's impossible. Teachers couldn't believe it. Students couldn't believe it. Even the disciplinary committee was beginning to wonder if someone had cast a massive illusion over the academy. Inside Class 7Z, the students waited curiously. Kael entered carrying a broom, a rake, a watering can, a shovel, several sacks of seeds. The class stared blankly. Kai slowly raised a hand. Teacher. Yes. Did we accidentally join the gardening club? Laughter filled the room. Even Kael chuckled. Not yet. He placed the tools neatly on the floor. Today's lesson. Leon confidently stood up. Combat formations. No. Mira guessed. Advanced elemental control. No. Theo adjusted his glasses. Rune synchronization. No. Arya smiled brightly. Gardening. Kael nodded. Correct. The class groaned dramatically. 20 minutes later, Class 7Z stood before one of the academy's oldest gardens. Or rather, what used to be a garden. It was completely overgrown. Weeds covered every path. Broken fountains lay abandoned. Trees hadn't been trimmed in years. The once beautiful place had become forgotten. Kael looked around quietly. It deserves another chance. He turned toward his students. I have a request. No commands. No orders. Just a request. Let's bring it back to life. The students looked around. It didn't seem like training. There were no enemies. No monsters. No targets. Just a neglected garden. Kael smiled. You've all spent your lives learning how to destroy. He gently picked up a dying flower. Today, learn how to nurture. The class split into groups naturally. Not because Kael assigned them. Because they wanted to. Leon and Felix cleared fallen trees. Kai repaired broken stone pathways. Mira carefully froze harmful insects without damaging nearby plants. Sarah almost cried with happiness as she treated dying flowers. Theo designed an automatic irrigation system. Rin asked birds where healthy seeds could be found. Lilia decorated empty corners with colorful illusion butterflies. Arya used wind magic to remove dead leaves without harming new ones. Darius silently repaired damaged fences. Yuna quietly planted white lilies near the old fountain. Noah healed damaged tree roots using gentle life magic. Hours passed. No one noticed. Teacher. Arya ran over excitedly. Look. She proudly pointed toward a flower bed. The flowers danced gently whenever the wind blew. They're beautiful. Kael smiled. You worked hard. She beamed. Nearby, Leon struggled to move an enormous fallen tree. Felix walked over. Need help. I can do it. ... Together. Leon hesitated, then nodded. ... Yeah. Together. They lifted the massive trunk with ease. Felix smiled. See. Leon laughed. ... Guess teamwork isn't so bad. Elsewhere, Theo proudly activated his irrigation machine. Water sprayed perfectly across the garden. For exactly 3 seconds. Then, boom, the machine exploded into hundreds of tiny gears. Water rained everywhere. Kai slowly wiped water from his face. ... Every ... single ... time, the entire class burst into laughter. Even Theo laughed. I'll improve version 2. Near the fountain, Mira quietly watched Yuna planting lilies. ... You like flowers? Yuna nodded. They bloom. ... Even after harsh winters. Mira looked at the tiny white lilies. ... Strong. Yuna smiled softly. ... Hope. Mira carefully planted another beside it. I understand. Meanwhile, Noah knelt beside a dying oak tree. He gently placed both hands on its roots. Warm golden light spread through the soil. Slowly, the withered branches began growing new leaves. Birds landed among the fresh greenery. The tree looked alive once more. Noah smiled quietly. I did it. Kael watched from a distance. He said nothing. His proud smile said enough. As evening approached, the forgotten garden had completely transformed. Flowers bloomed everywhere. The fountain flowed once again. Butterflies danced through the air. The old stone paths shone beneath the sunset. It looked alive, better than ever before. The class stood together, admiring their work. We actually did all this. Felix whispered. Lilia spun happily through the flowers. It's beautiful. Sarah wiped away happy tears. This is the happiest day ever. Kai stretched. My back hurts. Leon laughed. Mine too. Kael gathered everyone near the restored fountain. Today, you didn't defeat an enemy. You didn't learn a new spell. You didn't become physically stronger. He looked around at the smiling students. So, what did you gain? Silence. Then, Felix answered first. ... Pride. Sarah smiled. ... Hope. Kai scratched his head. ... Friends. Mira quietly looked at the lilies. ... Peace. Noah smiled confidently. ... Confidence. Leon looked around at everyone. ... A family. Kael nodded. Exactly. At that moment, several students from Class A happened to walk by. They stopped, completely stunned. ... Is that the abandoned memorial garden? They restored it. One student frowned. ... Class 7Z. Another looked toward Kael. ... Maybe the rumors weren't exaggerated. The seed of rivalry quietly began to grow. Not from hatred, but admiration. That evening, the academy principal visited the garden alone. He quietly walked along the restored paths. The lilies, the fountain, the flowers, everything looked peaceful. He smiled to himself. Kael, you truly are an extraordinary teacher. Because while everyone else measured success by victories, Kael measured it by smiles. And today, his students had smiled more than ever before. The restored garden would soon become one of Astra Academy's favorite places. Not because it was beautiful, but because it reminded everyone that even something forgotten could bloom again, just like the students of Class 7Z. Chapter 12. Class A declares war. The restored memorial garden quickly became the talk of Astra Academy. Students from every department visited during their free time. Some came to admire the flowers. Others came simply because they couldn't believe Class 7Z had created something so peaceful. Teachers who once avoided the class now found themselves smiling whenever they passed by. But not everyone welcomed the change. On the highest training platform, a group of 12 students watched the garden below. Their uniforms were different, white jackets trimmed with gold, the academy crest embroidered proudly across their chests. They were Class A, the strongest class in Astra Academy. Every student there had entered as a top-ranked prodigy. At their center stood a young man with neatly combed golden hair and calm blue eyes. His name was Adrian Vallon, the class representative, the academy's highest-ranked first year. He folded his arms as he watched Class 7Z laughing together. So the rumors were true. Beside him, a girl with crimson hair scoffed. They're still troublemakers. Another student adjusted his glasses. Perhaps. But they're changing. Adrian smiled faintly. Then I want to see it for myself. Meanwhile, inside Class 7Z, Leon proudly watered flowers. Kai repaired another broken bench. Theo was somehow trying to create a magical scarecrow. Version 7 won't explode. Kai stared at him. You said that about version 6. It exploded. Minor miscalculation. Laughter echoed throughout the garden. Kael quietly observed his students. They had changed. Not completely. Leon was still impulsive. Kai still loved mischief. Theo still built dangerous inventions. But now, they laughed together, helped one another, talked without arguing. Small changes, meaningful changes. Suddenly, a shadow fell across the garden. The students looked up. 12 figures stood at the entrance. Perfectly organized, perfectly disciplined, every movement synchronized. Class A. The cheerful atmosphere immediately became tense. Leon frowned. What did they want? Kai cracked his knuckles. I knew peace wouldn't last. Mira quietly closed her book. They're observing us. Felix instinctively stepped in front of Sarah. Noah swallowed nervously. Adrian stepped forward. His posture was polite, his expression calm. He bowed respectfully toward Kael. Good afternoon, Professor Ashford. Kael returned the bow. Good afternoon. I apologize for disturbing your class. Not at all. Adrian looked toward Class 7Z. I came with a request. Leon crossed his arms. Get to the point. The crimson-haired girl beside Adrian glared at him. Mind your manners. Leon glared back. You first. Kai sighed. Here we go. Adrian raised one hand. His classmates immediately fell silent. We've heard many stories. The worst class in the academy. The class that destroyed buildings. The class no teacher could control. He smiled slightly. But recently, we've heard different stories. The class that restored the memorial garden. The class that helped injured animals. The class that hasn't started a fight in weeks. His gaze swept across every student. I wish to know, which stories are true. Silence. Then Leon laughed. So, you came to test us? No. Adrian shook his head. I came to challenge you. The garden fell completely silent. Arya blinked. Challenge. Adrian nodded. The Academy Friendship Festival begins next week. It includes inter-class competitions, combat, strategy, teamwork, craftsmanship, rescue exercises, and obstacle courses. He smiled politely. I wish for Class A and Class 7Z to compete. Kai burst into laughter. You serious? The crimson-haired girl frowned. Do you find that amusing? Kai shrugged. I thought you elite students only challenged other elite students. Adrian answered honestly. I challenge worthy opponents. Those words caught everyone off guard. Not enemies. Not troublemakers. Opponents worthy of respect. Leon grinned. I like this guy. Mira quietly nodded. He's sincere. The atmosphere relaxed slightly. Then, a loud voice interrupted. What a joke. Everyone turned. A tall boy from another class walked toward the garden with several followers behind him. His uniform identified him as Class B. He laughed mockingly. Class A challenging Class 7Z. They're still the Academy's biggest failures. Several of his classmates laughed. Leon immediately stepped forward. What did you say? Flames flickered around his fists. Kai's lightning crackled. Darius disappeared into the shadows. The peaceful atmosphere began to crack. Before anyone could move, Kael gently placed a hand on Leon's shoulder. The flames vanished instantly. Teacher. Kael smiled calmly. What did we learn? Leon clenched his fists. Strength protects. And, Leon took a deep breath. We don't fight because someone insults us. Kael nodded. Correct. Then, to everyone's surprise, Adrian stepped in front of Class 7Z. He looked directly at the Class B students. Enough. The Class B leader frowned. Excuse me, if you insult my future opponents. You insult the competition itself. Silence. Even Class A looked surprised. Adrian turned back toward Leon. When we compete, I want both classes at their best. No unnecessary grudges. No hatred. Only honest effort. Leon smiled. Deal. He extended his hand. After a brief pause, Adrian shook it firmly. The students around them erupted into excited whispers. Did Leon, just shake hands instead of throwing a punch? The world really is changing. The tension disappeared as quickly as it had come. Arya immediately invited Class A to see the restored garden. Lilia happily gave everyone flower crowns. Theo proudly explained his irrigation system. It only exploded 6 times. Kai whispered. Only 6. Felix quietly shared fresh bread he had baked that morning. Even the usually reserved Mira spoke briefly with Adrian about strategy books. Watching from a distance, Principal Alaric smiled. This is exactly what the academy was meant to become. Not classes divided by pride, but students pushing one another to grow. As the sun began to set, Class A prepared to leave. Before walking away, Adrian looked back. 1 week from today, the Friendship Festival begins. I look forward to competing with you. Leon smiled confidently. So do we. For the first time, the rivalry between Class A and Class 7Z had begun. Not through hatred, not through revenge, but through mutual respect. And Kael knew that this kind of rivalry would help every one of his students become stronger. Without ever forgetting why they fought in the first place. Chapter 13. The first day of the Friendship Festival. The day everyone had been waiting for finally arrived. Before sunrise, Astra Academy was already bustling with excitement. Colorful banners fluttered between the academy's towering buildings. Magical lanterns floated through the air. Food stalls lined the central plaza. Students from every department laughed as they prepared for the academy's largest annual event. The Friendship Festival. It wasn't merely a competition. It was a celebration of trust, teamwork, and growth between classes. For 1 week, the academy would become a stage where students challenged one another, not to prove superiority, but to inspire improvement. Inside Class 7Z's classroom, the students gathered, earlier than usual. No one was late, even Kai. This feels weird. Leon smirked. You being early. I only woke up because Arya knocked on my door. Arya proudly crossed her arms. I also knocked on everyone's door. Theo adjusted his glasses. Statistically, punctuality increases victory probability by 8.7%. Kai looked at him. You made that up. Maybe. The class laughed. Kael entered carrying a wooden basket. The students immediately looked inside. Bread. Fruit. Tea. Kael nodded. Breakfast. Leon blinked. The festival starts in 30 minutes. Exactly. We'll eat first. Kai groaned dramatically. Our teacher really solves everything with food. Kael smiled. It works surprisingly often. The students sat together beneath the large oak tree beside the restored memorial garden. The same place they had worked together only days before. Birds chirped peacefully overhead. The flowers they had planted bloomed beautifully. As they shared breakfast, no one spoke about winning. No one discussed rankings. Instead, they laughed, shared jokes, complained about Theo's latest invention, teased Leon for secretly liking spicy curry. For just a little while, they forgot they were about to compete. Kael quietly poured everyone tea. Then he stood. The class naturally became silent. Our goal today, he looked at every student, is not victory. Leon frowned. Really? Kael nodded. I want each of you to leave today's matches better than when you entered them. Mira smiled slightly. That sounds like you. He continued. If you lose, learn. If you win, remain humble. If your classmate falls, help them. If your opponent falls, help them too. Silence filled the garden. The words settled naturally within every student's heart. The academy bell rang loudly. The Friendship Festival had officially begun. Thousands of students gathered inside the grand arena. Massive magical screens floated above the stadium so every spectator could watch the competitions. Teachers filled the viewing platforms. Parents, alumni, and honored guests occupied the highest seats. Principal Alaric stepped onto the central stage. His amplified voice echoed across the academy. Welcome to the annual Friendship Festival. Thunderous applause erupted. The purpose of this festival is not to decide who is strongest. It is to remind us that strength is meant to inspire others. Kael quietly smiled. Those words sounded familiar. The opening ceremony ended with hundreds of magical birds flying into the sky, creating dazzling patterns of light above the academy. The students cheered excitedly. A large magical board appeared over the arena. The first event was announced. Event 1, Team Obstacle Relay. Each class would send 4 representatives. The course required teamwork rather than combat. It included collapsing bridges, moving walls, puzzle gates, elemental traps, and a final rescue challenge. Class 7Z gathered together. Who's going? Leon immediately stepped forward. I'll carry everyone. Kai laughed. That's not how relays work. Mira calmly pointed toward the puzzle section. I'll handle that. Felix volunteered for the heavy obstacles. Arya practically bounced in place. I want the jumping course. Everyone nodded. The team was decided. Leon, Mira, Felix, Arya. Across the arena, Class A announced their own representatives. Adrian, the crimson-haired swordswoman Cecilia Blaze, the strategist Elias Frost, the agile wind user Lyra Windmere. The audience immediately became excited. The favorites. Class A is definitely winning. Before the event began, Leon glanced toward Adrian. The two exchanged confident smiles. No hostility, only anticipation. The starting signal echoed. Boom. Dozens of classes sprinted forward. Leon immediately took the lead. He smashed through heavy stone barriers with controlled bursts of fire. Not reckless, not destructive, exactly as Kael had taught him. The crowd cheered. Felix reached the collapsing bridge. Instead of rushing, he calmly stabilized it with earth magic. Several students from another class stumbled nearby. Without hesitation, Felix extended a hand. Come on. They gratefully accepted. The audience applauded. At the puzzle gate, Mira instantly analyzed dozens of floating magical symbols. Her fingers moved across the glowing runes. Within seconds, the gate opened. Even Theo, watching from the stands, looked impressed. 3.7 seconds. Incredible. Finally, Arya reached the rescue section. A magical dummy representing an injured student hung above a deep ravine. Most competitors tried complicated spells. Arya simply smiled. I've got this. Using precise wind currents, she gently guided the dummy across the gap without causing even the slightest bump. Perfect. The judges gave full marks. Class 7Z crossed the finish line. Second place. The arena erupted into applause. Leon looked disappointed. We lost. Kael smiled from the sidelines. Did you? Leon looked around. The students they had helped during the race waved gratefully toward them. Felix smiled. I understand. The official results appeared. First place medal Class A. Second place medal Class 7Z. Third place medal Class C. The audience applauded all 3 classes. As everyone prepared for the next event, several younger students surrounded Class 7Z. That was amazing. You helped everyone. I want to be like you someday. Leon scratched his head awkwardly. People are thanking us. Kai laughed loudly. Get used to it. From the VIP balcony, Principal Alaric stood beside several visiting principals from other hidden academies. One elderly principal watched Class 7Z carefully. Those children. They're unusual. Alaric smiled knowingly. They have an unusual teacher. The elderly principal looked toward Kael, who was quietly helping Arya untangle her hair after the obstacle course. Interesting. Far away, someone else was watching, hidden behind the highest tower. A mysterious figure wearing a dark cloak quietly observed Kael. So, he finally returned. The figure disappeared into the shadows before anyone noticed. A new story had quietly begun. Chapter 14, The Team That Chose to Save. The excitement from the opening day of the Friendship Festival had spread across Astra Academy. Class 7Z had shocked everyone by finishing second in the team obstacle relay. Yet, the students weren't celebrating their placement. They were talking about something else. Did you see Felix helping another class? Leon stopped to rescue someone instead of running ahead. Class 7Z actually waited for others. The rumors continued to spread. Even students who once mocked them now looked at them with respect. The second day of the festival arrived. A new announcement echoed throughout the academy. Event 2. Emergency Rescue Simulation. The objective was simple. A magical disaster would be recreated inside an ancient ruin. Each class had 1 hour to rescue as many trapped victims as possible. Points would be awarded for saving lives, teamwork, strategy, protecting teammates, minimizing destruction. Combat ability alone would not guarantee victory. Inside the waiting area, Kai stretched. This sounds fun. Theo adjusted his glasses. I've studied 32 rescue manuals. Leon smiled. I'll smash every wall. Kael looked at him. Only if necessary. Leon scratched his head. Right. The magical horn sounded. The giant stone gates slowly opened. The ancient ruins came into view. Collapsed buildings, broken bridges, underground tunnels, fires, flooded corridors. Magical beasts created through illusion magic wandered the area. Hidden traps activated randomly. The academy had spared no effort. Class A entered first. Adrian immediately organized his team. Cecilia, secure the Eastern District. Elias, locate survivors. Lyra, support evacuations. Every order was precise. Every movement efficient. Spectators applauded. They really are incredible. Minutes later, Class 7Z entered. Everyone instinctively looked toward Leon. He looked toward Kael instead. What should we do? Kael smiled. What do you think? Leon looked at his classmates. Then nodded. We stay together. The class smiled. No one disagreed. The rescue mission began. Almost immediately, Arya heard faint cries beneath a collapsed building. Someone's here. Felix calmly lifted enormous stone slabs. Sarah used vines to stabilize the structure. Noah rushed inside. A frightened first-year student sat trapped beneath broken beams. I'm scared. Noah smiled gently. We're here now. The student immediately calmed down. Meanwhile, Theo detected hidden magical traps. Don't step there. Kai carefully disarmed them with lightning. Lilia created illusion pathways to guide rescued students toward safety. Rin summoned wolves searched narrow tunnels impossible for humans to enter. Darius silently rescued 2 unconscious students before anyone even noticed. Yuna used gentle starlight magic to illuminate the darkest passages. Hours seemed to pass in minutes. Then, a loud explosion echoed throughout the ruins. A nearby tower began collapsing. Students screamed. One bridge shattered. Several competitors became trapped. Among them, 3 students from Class B. The very same class that had mocked 7Z. Leon stopped running. Kai looked toward him. They insulted us. Leon nodded. I know. So, Leon smiled. We're rescuing them. Without hesitation, Class 7Z rushed toward the collapsing bridge. Felix held up massive chunks of falling stone. His muscles trembled. I can't hold this forever. Arya created powerful wind currents. Mira froze the crumbling pillars. Kai reinforced them with lightning. Theo activated emergency support runes. Sarah's vines pulled trapped students toward safety. Noah healed injuries as fast as they appeared. One frightened Class B student looked at Leon. Why? Leon blinked. What? Why are you helping us? Leon smiled. Our teacher would be disappointed if we didn't. The student lowered his head in shame. Thank you. At another part of the ruins, Adrian's team encountered the same disaster. Without hesitation, Class A joined Class 7Z. No words were needed. They naturally worked together. Felix and Adrian lifted debris. Lyra carried injured students using wind magic. Cecilia defended everyone from magical beasts. Elias coordinated evacuation routes. The spectators watched in amazement. They're working together. Near the deepest chamber, One final magical trap activated. A gigantic stone guardian emerged. Its massive body blocked the only escape route. Several classes immediately prepared to attack. Leon stepped forward. Fire ignited around his fists. Then, he remembered Kael's lesson. He lowered them. There has to be another way. Theo studied the guardian. The rune core. It's not attacking. Mira observed quietly. It only blocks the exit. Kael, watching from the observation platform, smiled. They noticed. Instead of fighting, the students searched the chamber. Yuna quietly pointed toward an ancient control altar hidden behind vines. Theo activated the forgotten runes. The guardian slowly knelt. Then, moved aside peacefully. The exit opened. The audience erupted into applause. They solved it without destroying anything. The rescue mission ended shortly afterward. The results appeared. First place Medal Class A. First place Medal Class 7Z. For the first time in Academy history, 2 classes shared first place. Thunderous applause filled the grand arena. Principal Alaric stepped onto the stage. I have witnessed many friendship festivals. But today, I witnessed something greater than victory. He looked toward both classes. You chose to save, instead of proving yourselves. The Class B students approached Leon afterward. Their leader bowed deeply. I'm sorry. Leon scratched his head awkwardly. It's fine. Kai laughed. Your lucky art teacher likes peaceful solutions. Everyone laughed, even the Class B students. That evening, Class A and Class 7Z shared dinner together beneath the Academy's glowing lanterns. They discussed strategies, shared stories, laughed over embarrassing mistakes. The rivalry between them had grown stronger. Not through hatred, but friendship. Far away, the mysterious cloaked figure watched everything from atop the Academy's highest tower. Interesting. They're changing much faster than expected. The figure slowly looked toward Kael. Just as dangerous as before. The wind carried the figure away into the darkness. Unnoticed, for now, but somewhere beyond Astra Academy. Something had already begun moving. Something that even Kael could not ignore forever. Chapter 15. The quiet teacher steps onto the stage. The Friendship Festival had reached its 3rd day. By now, every student in Astra Academy knew the name Class 7Z. Not because they were the strongest, but because they were the class everyone enjoyed watching. They fought with discipline. They laughed together. They helped opponents. They competed with respect. Even the teachers admitted something unbelievable. The worst class has become one of the Academy's best. That morning, the grand arena was more crowded than ever. Every seat was occupied. Even students from neighboring hidden academies had arrived to watch. Colorful Academy banners waved proudly in the wind. The announcer's voice echoed across the stadium. Today's special exhibition event. Teachers versus students. Thunderous cheers erupted. Unlike ordinary competitions, this event wasn't about ranking. It was meant to inspire students by allowing teachers to demonstrate their abilities. Every homeroom teacher would participate. Classes eagerly cheered for their instructors. One by one, the teachers entered the arena. Master Roland, the sword instructor, effortlessly defeated an entire team of students. Professor Eliza amazed everyone with elegant water magic. Instructor Gareth summoned giant stone golems that lifted entire sections of the arena. Every performance earned loud applause. The announcer smiled. And now, the newest teacher of Astra Academy. The mysterious homeroom teacher of Class 7Z. Professor Kael Ashford. The crowd exploded with excitement. Students leaned forward in anticipation. So he's finally fighting. I've been waiting all festival. They say he split a mountain with a desk. Kael quietly walked onto the arena. Wearing his usual simple clothes. No armor. No weapon. No magical staff. Only a small watering can in one hand. The audience fell silent. A watering can. Kai buried his face in his hands. Of course. Leon laughed. Our teacher never changes. The announcer blinked. Professor. Kael looked around. I'm sorry. I was watering the memorial garden. Right before coming here. The crowd laughed warmly. The announcer continued. The challenge is simple. 3 academy teachers. Against 1 Professor Kael. Gasps spread through the stadium. 3 teachers. Against 1. Even Kael looked surprised. Isn't that unfair? The teachers misunderstood. Master Roland smiled confidently. It certainly is. Professor Eliza laughed. Don't worry. We'll go easy on you. Principal Alaric quietly covered his face. They still don't know. The barrier surrounding the arena activated. The magical referee raised a flag. Begin. Immediately. Roland rushed forward with incredible sword speed. Eliza summoned gigantic tidal waves. Gareth raised dozens of stone spears. The combined attack shook the entire stadium. Students watched with wide eyes. Kael sighed softly. I hope the flowers are all right. He gently raised the watering can. A single drop of water fell onto the arena floor. Plink. Nothing happened. Then, the entire arena became perfectly still. The tidal wave stopped in midair. The stone spears froze. Roland's sword halted inches from Kael. Time itself seemed to stand still. No one could move. No one could speak. Only Kael calmly walked through the frozen battlefield. He carefully picked up the stone spears and placed them neatly beside the arena. He redirected the suspended tidal wave into the Academy's dry gardens. He gently moved Roland so he wouldn't fall. Then, he returned to his original position. He snapped his fingers. Time resumed. Boom. The tidal wave vanished into the gardens. The stone spears landed harmlessly. Roland stumbled. Eliza blinked in confusion. Gareth looked around. What just happened? The entire stadium fell silent. Theo slowly lowered his notebook. Impossible. I couldn't even measure what happened. Mira narrowed her eyes. That wasn't magic. Adrian watched quietly. No. That was something beyond magic. Kael smiled apologetically. I'm sorry. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. The three teachers looked at one another. Then, together, they bowed. We concede. The arena erupted. Thousands of spectators stood. Thunderous applause echoed throughout Astra Academy. Not because Kael had overwhelmed them, but because he had won without harming anyone. The announcer struggled to regain composure. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Kael Ashford. Cheers filled the sky. Students chanted his name. Even rival academies applauded. High above the arena, the mysterious cloaked figure finally stood. As expected, he hasn't become weaker. The figure slowly removed a glove. Ancient black markings covered the hand. So, the time has come. The figure disappeared into a dark portal. After the exhibition, Kael quietly returned to the memorial garden. He knelt beside the flowers. I'm sorry I was late. He gently watered them. Behind him, the 12 students of Class 7Z silently watched. Leon smiled. Our teacher is unbelievable. Mira nodded. And yet, he still worries more about flowers than himself. Everyone laughed. Even Kael. For a brief moment, the strongest man in the hidden world looked like nothing more than a peaceful young teacher enjoying the afternoon sun. But beyond the academy, storm clouds were beginning to gather. The peaceful days would not last forever. End of Volume 1. Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you next time.